I avoided Dark Souls 2 like the plague because there were so many people saying this is a bad game, and I'm 4 hours into the game and I gotta say, I love it. Welcome back, Classy Crew, to an unexpected Dark Souls 2 journey. This is a game I started as a sample as part of my 12 days of Hey Jay, and I had to make a journal on it because I will be playing this game eventually. I don't know when. There will be a pledge, which is shocking to me because this was the one Soulsborne game I was like, I don't need to play it. I won't play it. And a lot of people in the community were kind of backing me up on that, of saying, like, try it, but you don't need to play it. Now, to give you a little bit of context, if you're new here, I started my Soulsborne after discovering Monster Hunter was a good franchise. And then I was like, maybe Soulsbornes are good because I didn't like those. I played Dark Souls 1 and I didn't really like it. It was a tough time. And then I played Dark Souls 3 as per a lot of recommendations, and I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand. I can get more into this journey. And then I went into Bloodborne. That was a slog. I think I liked it a little bit less just because of the tone compared to Dark Souls 3, but I enjoyed it, beat everything there, went into Elden Ring. What a journey that was, slayed every monster in that. And then I actually ended up going back to Dark Souls 3 to clean up 2 bosses I hadn't done, and enjoyed it way more. So I'm going to pause with a few asterisks or whatever, that Dark Souls 2, I haven't played the full game, so I can't say it's a good game or bad game yet. I can just say my first impression of the game is good. And also I recognize, I think my skill and understanding of the Soulsborne genre has changed to the point I play Dark Souls 2 differently now than I probably would have played it 2 years ago. I've noticed how much different I am playing this game. I'm more cautious. I'm looking out for things. I'm taking my time. I'm exploring. I'm not rushing. I'm not going into mobs. So playing all these other Soulsborne games has helped me learn how to play these games in a way that's more enjoyable. And I'm not sure if it's that Dark Souls 2 is designed better so far, or if I as a player has improved. I really think it's probably a combination of the two. So here were my first impressions of Dark Souls 2, right? Just from the get-go, the opening cutscene of the game, which, by the way, if you check out like my TikTok, Twitter, whatever, I don't post on TikTok often, but it feels weird just calling that out. I actually slapped the Owl City Firefly song just on top of the opening, and it lines up so good. I didn't do any editing, just putting them together. I don't think we can do it here because of copyright reasons. The opening cutscene, in combination with engaging with the NPCs, I find this game lays the story a lot more. It's a lot more accessible, and this is really good for me, but I'm also recognizing it probably is too different for the Soulsborne community, which I find prefers cryptic storytelling, where don't tell, show, right? Figure it out through reading item descriptions, piece things together by looking what's in the world. That's what I understand most Soulsborne games are. And Dark Souls 2, I was shocked at how much narration there was of, this is what's happening in the world, this is who you are, this is what you need to do, and this is where you go. I was like, whoa, this is wild to me. This does not feel Dark Souls 2. There's some crypticness from the cutscene, but I pretty much understand I'm in this land of place or a castle that starts with a D. It's really weird to pronounce. I forget how to say it. It's like Dralic or something. Anyways, I am pretty much dead. I have forgotten everything, and my only hope of redemption is to collect big souls. And there are 4 massive souls out there that if I kill them, I can take their souls. And they're ancient and probably lost and all that. It's still kind of a dark world. So we're not really talking about extending the Age of Fire or any of that business. I'm missing a lot of the story. I get that, but I don't play these games for the story anyways. But I'm just saying, just the fact that I know from the moment I pretty much enter the game that there's a hub and that there's 4 big bosses I have to go find somewhere, to me, that's all I need to just kind of get going. It's kind of like in Breath of the Wild when you eventually hit that critical point in the story and they're like, yeah, there's 4 beasts, go wherever you want, pick them and reactivate them. I feel in this type of world, just that very nice, very much appreciated. So anyway, so we got into the game, created my character. This time I'm going with a character named Sir Thickrus. He is my most favorite character I've ever designed so far. The other times I tried to be clever, creative, and I always feel like it was forced or it fell flat. But this one, Sir Thickrus, like he actually has a backstory. He is the thickest, one of the thickest in the land, and he's self-conscious, so he wears robes to hide his thickness, and like, you know, he's not proud of his thickness. So I think he's gonna go through probably a character arc here of embracing his thickness and being okay with it. But I've also decided to completely flip, to jump out of my comfort zone. I love doing this, and going with a class I never play, and this time I picked the Sorcerer. So I usually pick something that a character with strength or dexterity. That's what I've been doing in pretty much all my builds. Magic is not my go-to. Magic is so far like removed from my comfort zone and what I do. And I feel that for this game, if we're going to go in, we're going to have some fun, might as well do something that's completely wild to me. I don't even know what the stats are. And so I've already learned some really interesting things, like how do you play a sorcerer? Like, I honestly don't know. And all I have is a wand. So I'm like, okay, pew, pew, pew. And then I realize, oh wait, why is there like a number on my spells? I'm limited to my spells. I have to go to a bonfire. So this like flips my whole concept. I thought I could just pew, pew my way through everything. But now it's like, oh, you got to be strategic, because if I pew, pew everyone, I run out of magic. And then I got to rest at a bonfire. That's a problem. Like, there's only so many. When monsters are at this stage taking in the beginning 2 to 3 pew-pews, and you have 30, that's 10 monsters before you can't do anything. And so I had a broken sword, and I eventually learned, oh, actually the chat told me, put it in your right hand so that you can double hand it to do more damage, and keep your staff in the left hand so you can pew-pew, and then you like shank when they get close. So I call it the patented zap and stab. After that, learning which stats. So there are 3 that just from my build, I can, like the higher numbers I can tell are important. So there's ATN, which I assume is attunement, ADP, which I think is adaptability, and INT, which is intelligence. So intelligence is very obvious to me. You pump that in if you want to do more damage. Attunement, I pumped in a few things just to see what happens, and I see that it adds more slots for more spells. I'm like, oh, this is very important. And then shortens the casting time, which I'm like, okay, those are my 3 important things. I want to do more damage, I want to cast faster, and I want to hold more spells. So that's where I'm going to pour my stuff in. My vigor, I don't even care about my vigor, because I'm going to be a squishy mage. That's just how it is. So my vigor is like 6 right now. And I think I ended the stream at about level 25. Never upped my vigor. I'm just like, you know what? Ideally, everything is dead before it gets close to me. So I shouldn't even have to worry too much about my health. So I did that. I eventually did get a proper melee weapon, which was the rapier. It was suggested. It was actually quite affordable once I opened up the blacksmith. I did have to up my strength and dexterity to hold it. Built my character, went out just before you even start naming your character and all that. There's a path off to the side, which an optional, like, you know, hard enemy I could tell. So I'm like, I'm going to come back to this once I get my class and figure out what's doing. So there's an ogre there, and lore-wise, it makes sense. So Sir Thickrus meets another thick one, and it's the battle of the thickest. I did not keep enough distance, and the ogre killed me. So that was my first death. And then going back, I knew what to do and how to distance myself and not get caught against the wall. And he died pretty quick. And it almost feels like cheating, just sitting back, going like, pew, pew. Other things that are cool to Dark Souls 2 that I noticed, there are torches everywhere. And I just like, how do I light this? And then I learned about the torches. Each torch you get lasts for 5 minutes. The timer, I don't like that. I wish I could just pull out a torch out of my inventory all the time and light all the torches. But if I could do that, it would make, I guess, that whole system a little bit less useful. I don't know if there's a point to lighting torches. I don't know if there's a reward. I think it's just a very satisfying thing to do, to see these things are all turned down. Like, let's light them up. Other things, the Estus Flask. So I got that, and I was really surprised at how bad the Estus Flask is in this game. It just heals you so slow during boss fights. I barely want to use an Estus Flask. So the game has already kind of conditioned me to, like, you can get hit and you can heal, but you really shouldn't, because it's very punishing to heal. And they give you a lot of these other healing items that I thought would be faster. Like, that's the trade-off. You use a consumable to heal faster, but they're pretty slow too. So healing in the heat of things is just not a good idea, which makes me even more cautious that I can't just go willy-nilly into fights and then like chug an Estus like I did in all my other games, because it is super slow here. Another thing that caught me off guard, so I was like looking for traps and stuff. I'm really paranoid in these games, especially as a first playthrough. And I make it past like the first tunnel, and then there's a guy like sitting outside of a building. It looks like a lighthouse or something. I don't know. But inside, I'm just like exploring slow. I'm like, this feels like a trap. There's going to be something. And there's like crates and barrels everywhere. And so, I see breakable items. What do you do in Dark Souls? You roll through them. I roll through them and explode unexpectedly. I think I rolled into like some TNT. And then that explosion like woke up all these like ball sack characters that just come at me and were, oh, jeez. Oh, that's gross. Another thing I like about the game, and I always mention the brightness of these games. I think I got scarred with Dark Souls 1 of how dark it was. But this one here, just like Dark Souls 3, like the fact that I can see, the fact that your hub is next to the sea where there's the sun, like you can praise the sun right away. It's a beautiful world. It just feels really good. And I'm also playing the remastered, by the way, so everything looks even cleaner and sharper. And I did play the Dark Souls 1 remastered, and in that game, everything's just too dark. I don't like it. It makes me feel depressed. Otherwise, other than that, what else we got? Oh, the going hollow. I don't like it, but I respect the mechanic. So going hollow in this game actually has consequence, and that's kind of my point. So every time you die, you lose 5%, I think, of your health, and you can't regain that back until you regain your humanity. I don't like it because it's very punishing, but I also recognize in Dark Souls 1 and 3, myself, I would stay hollow most of the time because there wasn't any real consequence to it. Your health bar I didn't see it as my health bar was shorter. I saw it that when I regained my humanity, I got a bonus health bar. That's how I viewed it. Now they flipped the script where it's your health bar is actually smaller for being hollow, and it's like the same concept, but the philosophy and the way it's presented and designed makes it feel more like a punishment than a reward. Like, yeah, so you're punished for dying versus getting a reward for getting your humanity in the other games, which is what it felt like for me. So from a design perspective, I applaud it. From a player enjoying perspective, it makes me even more cautious about dying. It makes me more cautious about resource management of, oh, do I want to regain my humanity now? Should I just like keep exploring and know what I'm doing before I like uncap my health? So that's happening. Another thing, this is a BS one. This one I don't like. So I eventually made it to a boss called the Pursuer, which was giving me trouble. So I had to do the run back. And in most Soulsborns, you do the run back and you ignore the mobs and you go into the fog and then you go into the boss. And that gives you immunity. So while you're like walking through the fog, you can't get hit. In this game, they don't care. If you are walking through the fog, the enemies can and will attack you. And what? You can't. Other than that, I fought two bosses. I met the last giant. Oh, so I guess that kind of reveals where I went out of the 4 areas to go. From the hub, I went to the far left. The game pretty much suggests to go there. Like, I could tell that, I could jump down a pit. I could go down this, like, cathedral. I could go down this thing. Or I could go down this path where there's a lit torch. So I went there. It's a very interesting area where... from what I understand, like the giants of the past were there. They all pretty much died. So anyway, I met the last giant, and this felt horrible because I knew he was the last one, and I killed him. He wasn't hard or anything, but it was just he was big, and it's very sad that I'm the one that killed the last giant. I don't know why they make you do that. Continued, eventually made it to a knight called the Pursuer, which I was just geeking over how freaking cool the armor set was. I'm like, he's so cool. He's so powerful. And I have nothing wrong with getting destroyed by something that looks cool. Like the first few deaths, I'm just like, it's okay. I deserve it. I'm not as cool as you. Just beat me up. But then I got back, figured out what his moveset was, got really comfortable with it, which, gives me that dopamine of, I know this boss fight. I was like, roll, dodge, pew, roll, dodge, pew, roll, dodge, pew. And then I killed him and ended the night on that because he was my wall. He was giving me some troubles just with my timing, with learning when I can pew, when I can heal, when I should roll, and beat him. And so at this stage, I've picked up 3 spells. Well, I got my base one, which is my pew pew. And then I found the Great Soul Arrows, which is like a buffed up version of my baby soul arrows. And I can like mega pew a few times. So that's what I got. Not very exciting in spells, but it's a good start. The whole thing, 4 hours in, feels good. Bosses feel good. The controls feel really smooth too, like moving around in this game. So I'm hyped. I know the game's going to get harder. I know more bullshit's going to come, but I'm ready to, like, it's really not as bad as I thought it would be so far. And so we're going to pledge this when I get some time. I got to finish my other pledges, and probably 2024 is when we're going to get into Dark Souls 2. I will want to play this before Sekiro. So we're going to do Dark Souls 2 first. So join me whenever I announce that pledge. I'm not going to make it here today. And until next time, keep it classy.